Hello, my name is Spencer and welcome back to my hobby channel. I enjoy sharing my artistic hobbies and a little bit of the behind the scenes of how I make them. One of my main goals for 2025 is to use some of my more underutilized materials I have lying around. This Army Painter Gold Spray Primer is one of the first things I ever picked up when I was diving into this hobby. Even though it is clearly labeled gold and has a gold cap, I thought it was a black spray primer, so it found itself a long stay on my shelf. This Black Friday, I went to my local Target and I saw these Warhammer figures on the shelf. These Age of Sigmar Stormcast seemed like ideal volunteers to start working through this spray paint, as I don't usually paint large gold things very often. These Warhammer boxes are pretty nice, fairly cheap, and fun to assemble. Each of these boxes include one hero, a little intro pamphlet, and a game card with what each figure should look like. I wanted a mix of models, so I ended up getting 6 boxes. Fortunately, I only got one duplicate, so I'll set her aside for a future project. To start, as I do with every project, I sorted my work into manageable piles. Then, I began to remove our heroes from their sprue prisons. However, for the viewer's sake, I'll speed this up a bit. Before I got too far ahead of myself, I push assembled each model to see any mold lines. Then I went in with my line remover and a hobby knife to clean all the models up. Where needed, I applied some glue to the figures where the pushes felt a bit weaker. Few of the models had some gaps in their cloaks, so I used some liquid green stuff from Citadel to alleviate them. Once dried, I went in with a sanding stick to make it nice and flush with the fabric. Once assembled and dried, I can attach the models to a base and take them outside for a golden prime. Once primed, we can switch over to my painting mat. Although this might feel counterintuitive, Vince Ventura has a very nice gold airbrush recipe that I wanted to try out. I won't spoil the recipe in this video, but I can say that it came out very nicely, and I'll link the video with the recipe below. Once ready, I applied the gold over the model with my airbrush, which provided a nicer, less yellow gold. I used a decent amount of Vallejo metal color on this project, which made me overly confident in my painting abilities. I painted the undershirts of the warriors with silver, the blunt weapons got hit with a dark aluminum, the sharp weapons got silver as well, and then I used copper to highlight the hilts and some of the accent points on the models. To bring out the details on the silver, I made a watered down Nuln oil wash and liberally applied to all the silver garments, making sure not to let anything pool too much. To bring out the details on the gold, I made a similarly watered down Agrax Earth Shade wash and did the same practices as the silvers. Then, for the details of the models, I painted up all their leather straps, cloaks, armor, scrolls, and wooden elements of their weapons. Finally, I can do the fine detail work on their weapons and shields. For the base of this little diorama, I will use a piece of wood and a scrap of XPS foam. I started by cutting the foam to the correct size and then gluing them together. Once dried, I took my hobby knife and slowly shaved a slope into the terrain. Then, I applied a Vallejo Dark Earth texture paste to the entirety of the terrain. For some variety, I added a mud texture from Citadel to provide a path in the final diorama. For some stability, I took some cork rocks for the front line of heroes to stand on so the slope didn't make them look like they were falling over. Once everything had had the chance to dry, I applied glue to everywhere I wanted to be covered by grass and I put down a fine green turf. Then, I could knock the excess off and clean up my station a bit. Finally, to paint the heads of our heroes, I painted it up in my typical fanfare with a white prime, outlining the eyes, and building up the skin tones. Unfortunately, my camera died during this, so I didn't get any of it on footage, but instead I'll show the heads being attached to the rest of the bodies. Once the paint jobs had dried, I can clip the heroes from their bases and affix them to the terrain. Finally, we can paint the wooden sides of the piece black and move on to some glamour shots. I'd like to take this moment to say thank you to each of you who stayed through till the end of this video. I really appreciate the fact that you took time out of your day to see my odd little project. I'm not entirely sure what to call this. I suppose I'll call it a mantelpiece because that's my best guess. But regardless, it was fun to try something new and to challenge myself a bit, painting things that I have never painted before. Thank you all again, and I'll see you in the next one. Have an excellent week.